Hey, you. Yes, you. The one who feels like you're constantly putting in way more than you ever seem to get back.
Yeah.
Where your energy is just gone by the end of the day or maybe even the week. And perhaps you're really starting to feel that physical drain from your job. Well, we really get it. And you're exactly who we have in mind for this deep dive. Because today we're digging into how learning some specific digital skills might actually be a way out, a path to something, well, fundamentally different and hopefully a lot more rewarding.
It's honestly quite striking how common that feeling is. The information we've been looking at, it shows, well, a huge number. 85% of workers say they have low job satisfaction.
85%? Wow.
Yeah, it's not just a few people feeling a bit fed up. It's like the vast majority. One source described it as feeling trapped in mediocrity.
Trapped in mediocrity.
And experiencing this growing sense of disenchantment. It really makes you pause and think, is there a better way?
Absolutely. And if that whole picture sounds familiar to you, that constant stress, work just creeping into everything, feeling totally wiped out,
Yeah.
maybe you've had that exact thought. Surely this isn't all there is.
Mm.
Well, the material we've explored, focusing on upskilling and building an income online, it strongly suggests you might be right. So our mission today really is to pull out the most useful, actionable bits from these sources. We want to help you see how creating your own online income streams isn't just some fantasy. It could be a real achievable thing.
Mm.
We're talking about the real potential here for, getting your time back, having more say in how you spend your days, and ultimately just having more energy and, well, freedom for yourself and the people you love.
And that idea of having some control, some agency, that's so important. One of the core messages we found was incredibly direct. It just said, for things to change, you have to change, and you have to do something different.
Simple, but true.
Exactly. It's a simple truth, isn't it? But powerful. Because carrying on doing the same things, even if you're working harder and harder, it's probably just going to lead to more of that same frustration.
Okay, so we understand that feeling of being stuck, exhausted.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something different then.
Hmm.
Our sources paint a really, really interesting picture of the online world right now. Did you know, for instance, that in 2024, the estimate for online shoppers is something like 2.71 billion people?
Gillian.
Billion.
Yeah.
It's a massive number, and it really highlights what the sources call the lucrative potential out there in the online business space.
And what's so fascinating about that huge number isn't just that loads of people are buying stuff online. It's the sheer scale of the opportunity it represents.
Right.
Think about it. Maybe niche markets that were just too small or too spread out geographically for a traditional shop. Now you can potentially reach them globally online.
That's a huge shift.
It is. For someone looking to build their own income, that's potentially a game changer. One of our sources puts it quite strongly. There has simply never been a better time to invest in an online education, to learn digital skills, to really tap into all this.
It almost sounds like the internet's kind of leveled the playing field a bit. You don't necessarily need a giant company behind you anymore to find customers.
In many ways, yes.
But sources also give a pretty stark warning, don't they? Something like, you are going to get left behind if you don't start to explore online business.
It does sound a bit blunt.
Yeah, it does. But I guess it highlights just how fast things are moving and maybe how important it is to adapt.
And think about a key advantage of an online setup. Once you've, put the work in to build it, it can potentially operate 247, 365 days a year. That's what the sources point out.
Always open.
Exactly. And that creates the real possibility, the potential for building automated income streams. Income that isn't directly tied hour by hour to your own input. Imagine what that could do for your time, your energy levels.
Okay, so that's the potential. But how do we actually get there? How do you make that jump from feeling totally burned out to actually taking advantage of these online opportunities?
Well, this is where the sources point squarely towards upskilling. Learning new digital skills through online education seems to be the crucial first step.
Right.
They specifically talk about people who feel burned out, undervalued, and demoralized. And they suggest that learning these relevant digital skills, it can be the key to regaining their confidence and self-belief.
Confidence, yeah, that's huge when you're feeling low.
Absolutely. And also boosting their income and ultimately building a life that feels more, fulfilling and balanced. It's about making that shift, as one source put it, from exhaustion to empowerment.
From exhaustion to empowerment. I like that.
What's also really encouraging is this idea of a just-in-time online learning system.
What does that mean exactly? Just in time.
It means it's not about say, going back to university for years, it's more about acquiring really practical, useful skills. The skills that are in demand now, precisely when you need them.
Oh, okay.
Skills that can directly translate into building your own online income and fostering that really crucial sense of, independence and self-worth again.
And that feels like a really key difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Moving away from constantly putting all your effort into building someone else's business or dream to finally starting to build something that's genuinely yours. Our sources really push this idea of learning how to start building your own online income. They also introduce this concept called authority marketing as a way to do it. Now, that might sound a bit, daunting. Authority marketing. What does that actually look like?
That's a fair question. Essentially, authority marketing isn't necessarily about being some kind of famous guru or anything. It's more about positioning yourself online as someone who is knowledgeable and, importantly, trustworthy in a specific area or niche. It's about sharing what your unique perspective or expertise in a way that attracts the people who are actually looking for that specific information or solution.
So how would you do that, like practically?
Well, it could be through things like writing helpful blog posts, creating useful videos, maybe engaging with people on social media within your niche. By consistently providing real value, you build up trust, you build up authority.
Right. People start to see you as a go-to person.
Exactly. And that can then lead to opportunities to generate income, maybe through selling your own digital products or offering services, or even by recommending other relevant products as an affiliate.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So it's about using what you already know, maybe what you're already passionate about.
Precisely. Our sources put it quite nicely. Online education can turn passion into purpose, delivering hope and allowing individuals to build successful online income from home.
From home.
With unlimited online opportunities at their fingertips. The potential really does sound massive.
It does. But they also really hammer home the importance of having a solid foundation, right?
Yeah.
And maybe even more importantly, actually doing something, taking action.
Absolutely critical. The sources really stress you need to build a solid foundation. And part of that is having a clear vision of where you want to go and why you want to go there.
Knowing your why.
Yes. They even say that one of the biggest reasons people fail when starting online, they call it the #1mistake, is not taking the time to lay that essential business foundation first.
It's like building a house on sand, I suppose.
Pretty much. It might look okay for a bit, but it's just not going to last.
And that foundation, it's more than just having a good idea, isn't it? The sources mention something called the science of success. What's that about?
Yeah, the science of success, in this context, it really refers to understanding the nuts and bolts, the sort of fundamental mechanics that make online businesses actually work.
Okay, like what kind of mechanics?
Well, things like how websites actually function to attract visitors and keep them engaged. Understanding different business models you could use to make money. Are you selling products, offering services, using advertising, something else?
Right.
It also means knowing how to create offers that people actually want, offers that resonate, and crucially, how to track what's working and what isn't using online analytics.
So the data side of things.
Exactly. They might sound a bit technical, these pieces, but they are genuinely the essential building blocks for creating something online that's profitable and, sustainable.
But as we kind of touched on already, just knowing this stuff isn't enough, is it?
Not at all.
Our sources are really clear on this. They say the key here is learning and doing.
Yeah.
You have to take action.
Mm-hmm. They do acknowledge that, the results you get will depend on you, on your ability to learn and actually put the work in, but the core message is unavoidable. Yeah. You've got to start. You have to do something.
Okay, so doing is key. To make that starting point feel a bit less overwhelming, our sources actually outline a kind of framework, a proven framework, they call it, for building online income.
Yeah, they break it down into 3 main stages: prepare, launch, and grow.
Prepare, launch, grow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's quickly look at those. First up, prepare. What does that stage really involve if you're looking to make this kind of change?
Prepare is all about that foundational clarity we mentioned. It's about getting really, really clear on your why and your what.
Okay.
Defining your mission, like what impact do you actually want to have? What's your vision for your future look like? And what's the purpose driving you? Why are you doing this?
So understanding your own motivations.
Exactly. By getting clear on that first, you can then start building that solid foundation in a way that really aligns with your values, your goals. You launch the right way for now.
Okay. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Know where you're going before you set off.
Mm.
So after prepare comes launch.
Correct. Launch is where you take all that preparatory work, that foundation, and you start putting it into practice online.
Getting things moving.
Right. And the focus here is really on efficiency. Learning what's actually effective right now in the world of online marketing, setting up the business model that makes sense for your goals, creating offers that people genuinely find compelling, and, of course, figuring out how to actually attract and keep customers.
That sounds like the real engine room part.
It is. And the sources even suggest that at this stage, scaling your income past, say, $10,000 a month becomes a realistic possibility if you get it right.
Wow. Okay. That's definitely significant. And then the final stage is grow.
That's right. So once you've successfully launched, you've got some consistency, maybe generating steady income. The growth stage is about taking it to the next level. It's about implementing more advanced strategies, what they call 6- and 7-figure strategies, to really scale things up. This often involves things like collaborating with other experts, leveraging proven systems more deeply, basically amplifying your impact and increasing your income potential.
But crucially,
Without sacrificing the other important things in your life, your time, your health, your relationships.
that balance point again.
Yeah.
Now, our sources also spent quite a bit of time talking about support and having the right kind of learning environment.
Yeah.
It's clearly not just about reading manuals or watching videos alone, is it?
No, absolutely not. That's a really critical point they make. Just having access to stacks of information, well, it isn't enough on its own.
Right.
Being able to actually learn it effectively, and then this is key, like consistently apply that knowledge, that's what makes the difference.
And that's where support comes in.
Exactly. Things like having mentors, engaging in hands-on learning, being part of a supportive community, these can be game changers. Our sources specifically highlight the value of things like an online selling system and training hub, something that provides structured lessons, maybe ready-made templates you can adapt, proven systems to follow.
Yeah, they mentioned done-for-you templates and shortcuts as well, designed to kind of speed things up, shorten the learning curve.
Yes, exactly. Things that stop you having to reinvent the wheel constantly.
Yeah. They also listed things like actionable study guides, accountability and implementation challenges, even team coaching, and an interactive launcher environment. Sounds very well involved, hands-on.
It does, and that seems to be the point. It's about creating an environment where you're not just passively absorbing information, but you're actively learning by doing, and you're getting guidance and support along the way.
Okay.
And to kind of bring this to life, the sources share a story about a woman named Kate Catherine Whitehouse. Apparently, she came from a totally different world, the horse racing industry.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And after experiencing pretty significant burnout herself, she decided, to explore this digital world. And, get this, at 61, she successfully made the transition and built a new online career working as an affiliate for a digital education company called LaunchU.
Wow, that's quite an inspiring example. And as the sources note, Positive Online Success, which is connected to this material, is actually an affiliate for that same LaunchU platform. They offer an introductory program called Modern Wealthy.
Right. And the core idea behind it, which I think is really powerful, is that this type of online learning helps you create income streams based on who you really are, your unique skills, your passions.
So getting paid for being authentically you, essentially.
That's the goal. Yeah.
Okay. So as we start to wrap up this deep dive then, what's the main takeaway here?
I think the key takeaway is pretty clear. If you are feeling overworked, if you feel undervalued, if your current path just feels unsustainable, then upskilling, learning digital skills, and exploring this world of online income, it offers a very real, very viable alternative.
It's a potential path forward.
Definitely. A path towards having more freedom, more choices, and ultimately building a life that feels more fulfilling for you and, for the people you care about.
But this feels like the big but that keeps coming up, the crucial point, is that for things to actually change, you have to actively do something different.
Can't avoid that part.
No. If you're really tired of feeling drained, tired of feeling like you're just running on a treadmill that's going nowhere, then seriously looking into learning digital skills, looking into building online income, it isn't just a vague possibility. It feels like a necessary step if you want things to change.
And this really leads to a vital question, I think, for anyone listening to consider. What would actually become possible in your life if you had more control? More control over your time and more control over your income.
That's a big question.
It is, and maybe a follow-up. What's just one small practical step you could take today? Even if it's just spending 30 minutes doing some research online. What's one small step to start exploring this potential new direction?
Ultimately, I think what this deep dive has really shown is that the potential for a life that's more balanced, more rewarding, more self-directed, it is within reach. It's not going to be effortless. It requires learning. It requires consistent action. But the potential rewards, the freedom, the choices, the time to actually focus on what really matters to you, that could be completely transformative.